Welcome to this episode of Ponderings and Musings of an Ordinary Man. I'm your host, Greg Jacobs. Well, good day, folks. It's been a little while since I have recorded a podcast on the Ponderings and Musings of an Ordinary Man podcast stream. So, wanted to go ahead and kind of catch up with everybody, let you know that I have been extremely busy, especially on my other podcast platform, dealing with turning grief into growth, the journey of transformation. But I wanted to go ahead and record a podcast. From time to time, ponderings and musings of an ordinary man come to me, where I'm just going along my day, and all of a sudden I think about a topic. And the topic that came to me today was dealing more with hobbies. There's just such a wide definition of that. I have a lot of people that come to me and they ask me, Greg, what is your hobby? What do you enjoy doing? I'm going to kind of show you a couple items. So I will mention up front, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or a different podcast platform, you're obviously not going to be able to see these pictures. You can go to my YouTube page, Ponderings and Musings of an Ordinary Man, and see this video if you would like. I'm going to hold some of these up to the camera. But I'll just start with probably my passion and hobby that I've had for a long time is reading. I'm holding up my tablet. You can't see a book on there, obviously, but pretty excited. My favorite author is David Baldacci. I love thriller genre. He really just kind of perfected that genre. He's been an author, New York Times bestselling author for years, and he's always my go-to. Always looking forward to new books that dropped, and he dropped a new book yesterday, and I just have not had time yet to start it, but I'm really looking forward to it because they are just really captivating. So I'd say it's my first love when it comes to hobbies is reading. Secondly, I really enjoy getting out and about and just walking in nature, hiking. It's just kind of my passion. I would much rather be outside getting some vitamin D from the sun than in the gym. So you'll see me try to get in the gym 3-4 days a week in the really winter time and probably more fall. But once spring and summer come, I am really trying to stay outside, do yard work. I like to walk 3 miles if I can a day. I traditionally do that at the cemetery. Yes, my son, who passed away over 5 years ago, is buried there. Not really why I go there. I just really like cemeteries, have ever since I worked next door to a cemetery when I was 15 years old and would go over and eat lunch. Same cemetery I walk at now, ironically. So it's like a park, and there's just not a lot of people there. Well, I guess there are a lot of people there, pun intended, but they just don't talk back to you. But anyway, I do really enjoy walking. I like switching it up in different environments. Personally, I like walking every day more on a trail that's paved than I do unpaved. I'm getting old. Sometimes twisting your ankle is no fun. All right. So that brings me to my next area I wanted to kind of talk about. And that is I started, Father's Day last year, getting into a new hobby. And actually, it probably started a couple weeks before that. So a really good friend of mine's dad passed away, and they were having an estate sale. And I went over to the estate sale, and I knew that he had served in the army in Germany, and I knew that they had lived over there for many years. My friend Kent went to the American school and things over there. So we've talked about that a lot through the years. His dad, who passed away, was a clockmaker. And I knew he, had some pretty cool German items. But I went over and there was just a table full of German beer steins. So if you can see this on YouTube, I'm going to hold this up. This is a pewter beer stein that I had picked up over there at the estate sale. Kent, being a good friend that he is to me, he's like, Greg, if you want it, go ahead and take it. It's my gift to you. And it turns out that out of all the steins there, it was probably worth the least, but it's what my eye gravitated towards because I didn't know anything about vintage German beer steins. And this is not vintage. This is probably World War II or newer. So just to kind of give you a little education on this, a vintage German beer stein, the qualification on this is pre-World War II. So pretty much pre-1945. Anything that has West Germany on the bottom of a beer stein is not vintage. It is post World War II. After the wall came down, it's really a matter of a lot of touristy steins that were produced. You'll see people that come over after serving in the military and they'll buy a stein over there and they're like, hey, I got an authentic German beer stein. And it's true. It's not that it's not authentic. And there are some really nice touristy beer steins. But in the collection world, it's all pre World War II. So I've got a whole collection here. I've probably got about 30 or 40 beer steins that I collect. You can't see them on the camera. It's in the wall next to me. But I have my favorite are Villeroy and Boch. And that is the name of the company that was around in the 1880s in more of the Black Forest west side of Germany. And it was just kind of breweryana is what it's called, the breweryana, phase of all the breweries and all the things that went along with it, from beer steins to beer signs that would hang outside of buildings. And underneath the Villeroy and Boch title of the company, there was one of their facilities called Mettlach that basically produced a lot of vintage beer steins that are very highly collectible, probably one of the more highly collectible beer steins to this day. So I'm going to show you a few. This one, this is a small one. It's a half liter. For those on YouTube, you could see this. This is just a small half liter beer stein with the pewter lid on it. And they always have on there, usually, you probably can't see that with the glare, but usually it'll say half liter right there by the handle. The nice thing with the Mettlach Steins is, again, you probably can't see with the glare, but it'll have stamped on the bottom the date of which this was made. So it has the stamp number of 1536. So that's the actual mold stamp number. And then you'll see 85 off to the side. So this was made in 1885, which means it's 141 years old. This is kind of cool because this is called a tapestry stein. And basically, you would have just kind of a blank that would go down the line, and then there would be a line of women that would basically be sitting at this table, and they would each have this different job. They'd take this little piece of clay here, and they would put these pins in it and wrap it around, which is why it's called tapestry stein. And then they would go ahead and do the engraving on here, and then another one would do the coloring and things like that. So I really like this because my favorite part is the engraving, where they would use these really fine little engraving tools on this. And then there's a German, saying on the back. So that is one. This is another one. This is one of my favorite Mettlach Steins. It's called The Joke. And you can see a bunch of almost Roman-looking people in togas in there, and then a dog. And this has got a little kind of guard on his mouth, keep people from biting. And that's actually in gold, which it's hard to see. But it's just really neat. It's another engraved stein. And Heinrich Schlitt was known as one of the leading artists in Germany during that time. So if you can get a Heinrich Schlitt signed stein at the bottom of his handiwork, it's worth a whole lot more. This is a Heinrich Schlitt signed stein, and it has his initials right here down by the handle. So that is one of my favorite. This one is 1895, so it's 131 years old. And it's really interesting because a lot of them came with either the option of a pewter lid or a ceramic inlaid lid. So both of these are pewter lids, solid. And then what they would do is they would actually autograph or sign the different names of the people that they were dedicating them to. And I can't read this one. Castleman, I think, is the name on there. 1882, it says. Even though I said that was an 1895 stein. So I don't know, that kind of counteracts. It could have been this finial and this lid could have been on a different stein, and then they put it on this one because the dates don't match up on that. The pewter were actually more expensive as far as the lids, as far as collectability at the time, whenever they were put on in the late 1800s. However, today in 2026, the pewter is not as valuable or collectible as the ceramic inlaid lid. Trying to find the ceramic inlaid lid to just kind of compare and show you. This is one that's actually got the ceramic inlaid lid on top of it. So that has become a passion of mine. I've promised my wife I would slow down because it's very easy to rack up a lot of money on those. And I'm going to talk to you in just a minute about the method in which I actually collect these and find them. So after that, we had to kind of downsize my mom's house. She went into an apartment and we sold the house. And she had some different ceramics and pottery and things from turn of the century 1900s that were her great aunts. And I just took some of those in my house and I displayed them proudly for all to see in some nice fine furniture. And I wanted to kind of share some of that as well because I've merged from just getting German vintage beer steins to more of things like this. So this is what is called Rookwood pottery. Rookwood started in 1880 in Cincinnati, Ohio. And it's just got its own unique aspect to it. This is called crazing, where you could kind of see the crackle on there and some of the aging effect on the pottery. The thing that I love about Rookwood is one, it's one of the highest collectible ceramics and potteries out there. But just like Mettlach beer steins, it also dates the bottom. So very few are actually, as far as potteries out there, date the bottom of their pottery. So this has its stamp of 2150 on there, and then you'll see R and P backwards for Rookwood pottery here as their stamp, and it'll have the flames around it. If you don't have a number below the flame, then that means that it is 1880 to 1900, and you count the number of flames from 1880 all the way down. And if there's 20 flames in there, or it's 15 flames. I can't remember if it's 1895 or if it's 1880 to 1900, but you count the number of actual flames if there's not a number below that symbol. And that will tell you the year. So if there's, 3 flames, it's 1883 type thing. Now, there is a number under here, and it's XXX1, which means that this is 1931. This was made. I bought this. This was not one that I inherited. And I think I got it on eBay or at an auction site. So that is what I really enjoy is collecting Rookwood. And then I'm just going to show you something else too. So something else I collect is Van Briggle. And this is kind of cool because a lot of these are actually signed pieces as well. This is signed by Anna Van Briggle, and they're not dated, so you kind of have to look up as far as the signature, the insignias, different things. A lot of times you'll see AA for Artemis and Anna, which is where Artemis actually started. Just a fun fact, it's Artis, not Artemis, Artis, Artus, started at Rookwood in 1887. Then he went over to Europe. I think he did a study over there from 1893 to 1896, and then came back to Rookwood in 1896, and then left to go to Colorado for health reasons in 1899. So on most Van Briggles, you're going to see Colorado Springs engraved on the bottom. Ironically, that's where my son passed away in an auto accident in Colorado Springs. I don't know if there's a Freudian tie there somehow to that. But I do like collecting Van Briggles. Van Briggle also perfected, it's called a dead matte glaze, which is kind of indicative of like the Ming Dynasty look. And you'll see a lot of these in the green and the pink matte. And I just find it very intriguing. I like what's called smalls. I kind of grew up watching, I shouldn't say grew up, but in the last 20 years, I've watched American Pickers on TV a lot, and you'll hear Mike Wolf and Frank Fritz on there. Frank's passed away, but you'll hear him on reruns just talk about smalls a lot. It gets hard to store larger pieces and to display larger pieces. So a piece like this, I could go ahead and just kind of put inside of or on a table, kind of in between, some different things. So all that to say that I kind of went from vintage beer steins to Rookwood and Van Briggle, have not given up searching for vintage beer steins, but now I kind of have a little broader view of what I look for when I go in an antique store. So that kind of brings me to my point of how I actually go about looking for these items in my hobby. So I live in Shelbyville, Kentucky. Happens to be kind of the antique capital in many ways. There's a lot of antique stores. And I've found a lot of different things there. I enjoy just being able to go down the road and just kind of look and see. The problem a lot of times is you'll have an antique store and then you'll have all these different booths that, people will rent out to display their wares. The problem herein lies that a lot of times it's stagnant and it's static and it just doesn't have a lot of turnover with new inventory. So that can be a dilemma, which leads me to seek out other places to find things. There's a real big push to peddler malls. Years ago, I think they used to call them flea markets. And sometimes you'll find stuff there. Sometimes you'll find stuff at a Goodwill, mainly from estate sales that people are trying to get rid of items and they don't know what they have. In the age of AI, artificial intelligence, anybody can take a picture on their phone and ask AI what it is, and it'll give them, the value of it and the approximate date it was made and all this. So unfortunately, when you go in a lot of these stores, things are marked up way higher than you thinking that you're going to be able to get a deal on them. The best way to get a deal is really more estate sales. So I keep an eye on auction sites. A lot of auctions have gone to online only auctions. I try to stay away from eBay because most people on eBay are selling their collections or know what they have, and a lot of times they will jack the price up as well. But I have bought things on eBay. So all of that to say that when it comes to hobbies, it's unique for every single person. It morphs and it ebbs and it flows. I have always enjoyed walking. I've always enjoyed reading. So those have been constants in my life. It's kind of my self-care, mental health, where I can go ahead and carve out some time to go for a walk and to get my cardiovascular going, or to go ahead and just say, hey, I just need to take a breather. I need to sit back in a chair and I just need to read. And I just need to take some time for myself. It's where I get enjoyment out of. So I encourage everybody to find something that gives them enjoyment. A lot of people out there like golf or, pickleball has become popular. It's not my fancy. I'm 6'7", 325 pounds. It's hard for me to play basketball anymore. I tried playing pickleball and it's just twisting of my knees a lot and things. So there's certain things that work for certain people. Other things don't. I've never played a game of golf in my life. I've been to the driving range a couple times and it's not pretty. So, whatever works for you. And a lot of things are team things, team sports or teams activities as far as hobbies. Some people like, doing things together. Other people like individual stuff, like sitting in a rocking chair on a front porch and whittling a piece of wood, whatever it might be. So I enjoy bringing my wife along with me to antique stores and kind of searching out items. I think for me, it's a matter of preservation of history as well. It's the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The value is not always because you can have the ugliest item and it'd be worth a whole lot more than a very beautiful item. Like I've got some Rookwood pottery from 1885 that I'm bidding on right now on an auction. And my wife is like, that is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And it's a real brown and yellow flowers and something that you just probably wouldn't be proud to display. However, it's worth hundreds of dollars, if not thousands. So it's all relative, I think. I have bought steins before that weren't the highest of value or had the incorrect lid on it, and that's okay because it spoke to me. And there's things called purists where basically they only buy a certain brand. It has to have the correct ceramic lid, ceramic inlay on the pewter lid, all these different things. I'm not a purist. I prefer not to buy anything that's been cracked or repaired. So I guess you would say I'm a purist kind of in that regards. I have joined Stein Collectors International, SCI. Actually have a meeting locally in the Louisville area this coming Saturday, so I'm excited to go there. It's a dying art, especially when it comes to vintage German beer steins, where a lot of the older clientele are dying off, and it's not something that's carried forward as far as a hobby to the younger generation. So, in conclusion, I would just encourage everybody to find something that works for them. I happened into both of these things through exploration. Be curious, get out there, find out what works for you. Try something. If try it like I did with pickleball and you realize maybe it's not for you, then by all means, put the paddle down and go find something else. At the same time, be flexible. Maybe it wasn't the right, season, for you to pick up pickleball. Maybe that's something that you're just going to go ahead and try again at a different time, or maybe you need a different partner, to go do it with. Yeah, I'll just conclude with that. It's been a fun journey for me. I really enjoy finding these collectibles. They're just pieces of great prize out there. And I get to preserve history. And it's not like going to Walmart and buying a clock and then the battery runs out and you throw the clock away and you go buy a new one. This is something where you can it's made with quality craftsmanship and things like that. So thank you for listening, and everybody have a swell day. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to Ponderings and Musings of an Ordinary Man. I hope today's episode brought you a bit of inspiration. If you've enjoyed it, please remember to follow, like, or subscribe on your favorite platform so you never miss what's coming next. I can't wait to share future episodes with you. Until next time,